So then I think I was because somehow when I am sharing my screen, I will not get any information that I have logged out or logged in. So none of this. Are you able to see that something is written?
Yes, sir.
Now you can see, sir.
Huh?
Now we are able to see.
Now you are able to see. Okay. So essentially what I was trying to say is that if you have an n particle system, and so if you are not able to listen, or if I am logged out, then please call me. One of you can call me so that I will know that I am not presenting. Okay, so let's say that you have a macroscopic system consisting of n particles. I was telling that we have description at two different levels. One is at a microscopic level, where we start with the dynamics of particles. And can you see the cursor?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Where I am pointing, you can see, right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So there's a microscopic theory which constitutes consideration of dynamics of particles. And one of the theory we reviewed was classical mechanics, where Q bar and T bar describe the state of the system. Q bar stands for all three n positions, and T bar stands for all three n momenta. The other level of description is a macroscopic theory, which is what we call as thermodynamics, where you talk about macroscopic properties, some minimal set of macroscopic properties as the state of the system, like pressure, volume, temperature, or energy, volume, temperature. Now, our aim is to start from the dynamics of constituent particles and go and derive the properties of thermodynamics. Now, in going from here to here, one of the important difficulty that we face is the ignorance. That means we have some ignorance. What is the kind of ignorance that we have? For example, we do not know the precise initial state. Such ignorance is we have to deal with. This is another description where you describe the state of the particle as a point in the 6n-dimensional space. Now, in our new theory, we are going to call the state in classical mechanics as microstate. We are just renaming that one. And the state in thermodynamics, in terms of the macroscopic property, we call it as a macrostate. So we are just trying to rename them, and then our aim is to start from microstate, whether classical mechanics or quantum mechanics, and go to macrostate. I try to recall our point as example. When we toss a coin, if I ask a question, what is the outcome? The answer is I don't know. And possible outcomes is known. With some work, we will be able to write down outcome H with its probability PH, possibility tail with its probability PT. And since there are only two possibilities, PH plus PT is equal to 1. This you can call as the state of the system. Now you can see that we do not know Q bar and P bar. This is what is in the new terminology, we call it as initial microstate. So we can ask the question, what are the possible macrostates? So if I want to represent this in the space, possible macrostates are some set of microstates. Now, who will tell what is the possible microstates? The possibility is determined by the macrostate. So I said macrostate provides a constraint on the possible microstate. And to discuss more about these microstates and macrostates, I am presenting this analogy. This analogy is, I am considering your class consisting of 72 students as my system. Now, each student can exist in two states, either in the state of sleep or in awake. This is, of course, very nicely it will fit to a live classroom. I do not know for this online classroom. So if these are the two possible states in which every student can exist, then if somebody is asking me describe the state of the class, let's say our HOD wants to know the state of the class and he tells me you describe this. Now I have two options to describe this class. Option one, I can take the attendance register and say roll number 1, and against whom I can say marking. So mark sleep, 2 is awake, etc., 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 72 is sleep. This is one way of describing the state of the class. When I describe the state of the class like this, please remember that all the information about every student with respect to this property of sleeping or awake is present in this. Another option I have is to describe the state of the system, something like 10 out of 72 are sleeping. Now, such a description does not tell you, or when I give this description to HOD, he will not know who is sleeping. So there is no information about each student here. A description of that type is called a macro state. Where I describe about every individual student is called a micro state. Now, to be more concrete, let us consider a macro state where 1 out of 72 is sleeping. This is my statement of the state. This is my macro state. Now, if HOD asks this question, who is sleeping? His answer will be obviously, I don't know, because I haven't provided that information. Who is sleeping? Only 1 is sleeping, but who is that 1? I don't know. I haven't given that information. Now, what HOD can do is he can ask this question: what are the possibilities? Now, there are 72 possibilities because this 1 out of 72 could be any one of the 72. So it could be first roll number, it could be second roll number, it could be third roll number, etc. up to 72. That means there are 72 possibilities, or you can also call in the light of new language that we are using, these are 72 microstates. Now you can see that this allows us to make this statement. There are large number of microstates corresponding to a given macrostate. Okay, there are large number of microstates corresponding to a given macrostate. Now this is about the possibilities. Now we can ask the question that with this what one can do. Now with this you cannot do much, but then you have to. So we have. So now we have a set of possible microstates. Why do you have to do with this set? Because we have an ignorance of who is actually sleeping. And because of this, we have to deal with this set. Now, one of the important jobs that anyone who has this information to do is to do some work and assign, okay, assign probabilities. Assign probabilities to each of the possible microstates. Each of the possible microstates, you have to assign probabilities. Now, in assigning these probabilities is where you have to use all your knowledge, ingenuity, information, and whatever you want to do. That is all your scientific inquisitiveness or your ability to do something comes in here. Now, suppose let us continue with this macro state. Suppose, let's say our HOD wants to assign probabilities, then he must have some information. For example, let's say that some roll number 12 or whatever. Okay, I don't have a correspondence between roll numbers and faces, so it doesn't matter. So roll number 12, let's say he sends, so at 3 p.m., at 3 a.m. in the morning, okay, sends a WhatsApp message to HOD. This is unusual because 3 a.m. is not the time where we expect someone to be awake. So if HOD finds that there was a WhatsApp message by this person at 3 a.m., then he will have definitely a thought that there is a more chance that this roll number 12 may be the person who is sleeping in the class. Or if he is finding that one of his research scholar has seen roll number 55 at the tea shop opposite to J2, let's say in 2:30 a.m. in the morning. Then he gets that information from his research scholar, and then he will think that, okay, this roll number 55 could be the person who is sleeping. So essentially what I am trying to say is that you have to put in all the information at your disposal, or the information that you can obtain by doing experiments, by analysis, etc., and assign probability. Okay. Now this is the most important. Just like what we did in the case of coin toss, after knowing that possibilities are head and tail, we have assigned probabilities. How did we assign probabilities? We did some work. Maybe we have tossed the coin several times, or tossed several coins at a time, and then figured out how many times head comes, how many times tail comes, and then asymptotically we kept on doing this with larger and larger set of coins, and then asymptotically we defined that this is the probability for head to come, this is the chance for the tail to come, and then fix those numbers. Something similar to that you have to do and assign probabilities to each of the macro states. So now you can see that we have possible microstates with their respective probabilities. So you can see that this particular statement is exactly like what we had
Again, here the presentation is not on yet. Yes, sir. Now it's fine.
So start from after roll number 12 at 3 a.m. So after roll number 12 at 3 a.m.
Okay. So you can see that we have to assign probabilities for these possible microstates. So what I'm trying to say is that suppose this is the job of our head of the department. Let's say now if roll number 12 at 3 a.m. has sent a WhatsApp message to head of the department, then he knows that this particular person was not sleeping up to that. Then he will definitely assign a larger probability for roll number 12 to be sleeping in the class. In the same way, let's say some roll number 50 or something is found taking tea at the Gate 2 tea shop at 2:30 a.m. in the morning, and this was seen by one of his research scholar and reported to him. So he will use that information also to put a larger probability for roll number 50. Like this, he has to use all the information at his disposal, which he is getting by his own experiments, by the experiments of everybody else around the globe, to assign these probabilities. So assigning these probabilities is the scientific work that he has to carry out. Then you have these possible microstates with their respective probabilities. Once you assign the probabilities, then you know possible microstates and their probabilities. Like what we have in the coin toss case, head probability of head, tail probability of tail. And you can see that we said that this is what is the state in the coin toss case. So for this system, also this is called the state. Now this has got a very fancy name. This is called ensemble. Okay, the pronunciation is ensemble, even though the spelling appears as if it is ensemble. It's called ensemble. What is an ensemble? Ensemble is just this set of possible microstates with their respective probabilities. So for a coin toss, this is an ensemble. Okay, and for this class, so if one person is sleeping, that is 1 out of 72 is sleeping. For this particular macro state, your ensemble is going to be roll number 1 with the probability P1, roll number 2 with the probability P2, roll number 3 with the probability P3, etc., etc., etc. Roll number 72 with the probability 72. Of course, when I say probability, some of the probabilities I is equal to 1 to 72, Pi should be equal to 1. So this is an ensemble corresponding to this particular macro state. Okay, so this is what we call as an ensemble. Now let us go back to our original problem, where we have so we have what is a microstate of our n particle system. So we start with our n particle system. So microstate for this one is like Q bar and P bar. And we may have some macro state. Now, corresponding to this macro state, there will be a set of microstates. Or in some region, or we may have something called some region. Okay, so this region consists of possible microstates. This is of course constrained by Q bar and P. Possible microstates. Now we have to assign probability. So this Q and P can vary continuously. So we define something called probability distribution. Probability distribution, define it as rho of Q bar comma P bar, such that integral dQ bar dP bar of rho of Q bar P bar is equal to 1. This is like total probability is equal to. Okay, So for every q bar p bar, there is some weight associated with that. That is given by this probability distribution. Now you can see that it is so mathematically the ensemble is denoted by this probability distribution function. So if you give me a probability distribution function mathematically, that means you are giving me an answer. Now, once we understand this, then we are going to write down the formulation of statistical mechanics in a very simple fashion. Okay, so let us say that so consider a macroscopic property called as B. I will call it as R comma P, measured at a point R and at time. Okay. Now let us say let some B of Q bar P bar be the corresponding dynamical function. Okay, as I told you earlier that every property you would write that. So let us write this as, there are some properties for which we cannot write, but let's come to that later. First, let us consider, let's say that this is a property which has the dynamical function description, and let us call that as the small q bar. Now you can see that so we can evolves, correct? That is this we have seen earlier. Or I can simply write this as some H operator operating on, okay, where the description is H operator operating on any F is nothing but Poisson formally I can write V of T is equal to e to the power T into H operator operating on E at T. Okay. Okay, this is I can write this formally in this fashion. Now the point is that that is essentially I am trying to say that I V of Q bar into T is equal to this and V of Q bar. Now we can say that is start from P and get in terms of this description that I have here. Now this can be done in the following fashion. B at R, comma T is equal to integral PQ bar PP bar into V of Q bar P bar R E into rho of Q bar P bar. Okay, that is, suppose let's say that I have some kind of a vessel, and at this point I am trying to measure this property. That means from the origin, this is my R, and at some particular time at this point. Now at this point, what is the small b for different microstates has to be calculated, and then it has to be appropriately weighted with this one. Now this is what is solved. So this is the connection, but this connection is not the final. We'll have to little bit work out the final expression. Now I can write this one as V of R comma T is equal to integral dq bar dq bar into e to the power T H operating on V of Q bar P bar R, and at time t equal to 0, which I need not write, okay, rho of Q bar P. Okay, so this is like one function, and this is like another function. Okay, now this statement, okay, I can actually okay, so I have to little bit talk about some structure of classical mechanics. So okay, so we'll come back to this in a moment. So the structure of classical mechanics is something like this. Suppose if I have a function of Q bar and P bar, and suppose if I choose some alpha times G of Q bar P bar. Okay, this is a dynamical function. This is another dynamical function. Okay, So we say that this becomes a kind of a function of Q alpha and P. Nothing but our alpha G acting on Q. And P alpha is nothing but e to the alpha G acting on P. So if Q and P are phase space variables, and Q alpha and P alpha are also phase space variables. And these two have this following property, that QP is also equal to Q alpha P alpha is equal to 1. Then we say that e to the power alpha G generates a canonical transformation. Generates a canonical transformation. Now, if you have suppose you have this formulation integral that I have here, okay. So we would like to call this, we would like to show that this integral is invariant under canonical transformation. Okay. So we would like to show that B of R comma T is equal to integral dq bar dt bar into d of q bar t bar R comma T to rho of q bar t bar is invariant under canonical transformation. Now to show this, how do we show this? To show this one, hello, can you hear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, can you please tell me up to what stage you heard?
Invariant under canonical transformation till there, sir.
Okay. So I wanted to show that this particular integral is invariant under canonical transformation. So for that, what I'm going to do is that this B and rho, both of them I canonically transform by operating with e power alpha g. Alpha is just a parameter. So this, according to the definition, is B of Q alpha P alpha RT, and this will be rho of Q alpha P alpha. Now you can see that I can write this dq bar dp bar in terms of dq alpha bar dp alpha bar with a Jacobian of the transformation between Q alpha P alpha. But for a canonical transformation, the Jacobian is simply 1, because Jacobian can be recast in terms of the Poisson bracket between Q alpha and P alpha. So this is 1. That means this integral is exactly same as the previous integral, except that instead of Q bar P bar, you have Q alpha or P alpha bar. And when you integrate the entire force space, these are dummy. So you get B of R comma T. That means you have what is called the integral is invariant under canonical transformation. So I am going to make use of this structure of classical mechanics, and then I am going to use this particular thing as one phase space function. This is another phase space function, and then I'm going to introduce. Yeah.
So we have not noted it down. Can you just move it a bit?
I will come. Just finish this and then. So I'm going to make a canonical transformation with e to the power minus th bar, and here also I will use e to the power minus th bar. So just like in the previous case, this will be invariant. So this simply becomes integral eq bar dp bar. This will be simply identity e of q bar p bar r into I'm going to call this as rho of q bar p bar t. So what have I done? I have transferred the time dependence from this to this by using a canonical transformation. Okay, so this is going to be my B of R comma. Okay, so this is my final equation that formulates statistical mechanics. Okay, and where rho of q bar comma p bar into t is equal to e to the power minus t h operating on rho of q bar p bar to 0. Okay, so this is the time dependence of the probability distribution function. Okay, now I want you to so I want to call this this particular statement, we call this as an ensemble average. So ensemble averaging is the key to statistical mechanics. So the state of a statistical mechanical system is an ensemble, and properties can be calculated by using ensemble average. Okay, so actually many textbooks do not give this formulation in this fashion. There is one textbook called Equilibrium and Non-Equilibrium Statistical Mechanics by R. Balesky. So this book has something along these lines. It is a little more difficult than what I described, but it is worth giving a try. There are more formal things are also discussed in this book. I have toned it down a little bit to present here, but you can look at this. Book. Now you can see that this particular this is so the evolution of the system, the state of the system is governed by this. For example, if I ask what is d rho by dt, that is equal to, you can see that this is minus e to the minus eh into h rho of q bar 0. Okay, and I can write this as minus. So let me call this as, I'm just doing with respect to time, rho by dou t. So this is equal to minus h into e to the minus th acting on rho of q bar t bar 0. But this is nothing but minus h acting on rho of q bar t bar t. But we already know what is this. When you say h is acting on this, so this is equal to the Poisson bracket of rho. It is actually Poisson bracket of rho with h. Okay, so I put minus sign, Poisson bracket of rho with h. In other words, we can write this. We can write this as dou rho by dou t plus Poisson bracket of rho with h is equal to 0. Now this equation is a very important equation. Okay, so this is called Liouville equation, and this Liouville equation is what actually gives you the evolution of the, so given rho of q bar t bar at time t equal to 0, we can solve Liouville equation to get rho of q bar t bar at time t and use it. So it means this. Okay, use it in ensemble average. To get macroscopic property. And the ensemble averaging is what we have here. This equation. Use it in this equation. So that is here. Now, if you look at this entire formulation, only thing that where your job is required is to design this initial probability density. Okay. Once you design this, Liouville equation will take over and it will give you probability distribution at any time t. And once you have probability distribution, plug it in ensemble averaging, you get macroscopic property. So that is something which you can do. So when you are, suppose let's say that you have some phenomena, and then you model the phenomena, model it, and then let's say that you want to calculate certain properties. Modeling is basically writing down the Hamiltonian. Now let's say that you have certain properties, then you find out an ensemble. Okay, that is basically your row of Q bar, 0. Then from there,
excuse me, sir.
Yes,
Sir.
yeah,
Sir, why are you keeping hat on H? Because I think you are dealing all this in classical mechanics, so it's not operator H, Hamiltonian.
Yeah. Okay, I will come to that. So let me complete this flow chart. So you take solve Liouville equation, and this Liouville equation is given by dou rho by dou t plus integral rho with h is equal to 0, and then you get rho of q bar p bar into t, and then use this in your ensemble averaging, namely that b of r comma t is equal to integral dq bar dt bar into b of q bar p bar r into rho of q bar p bar. Okay, so this is how we do our statistical mechanics. Suppose, and then you take it to the experiment and compare. Okay, suppose you are comparing with the experiment and what you calculated here is not agreeing with the experiment, then where is the problem? The problem can be here. That means you have not modeled it correctly. You may not have taken into certain interactions into account, or maybe you have not provided the correct guess of the correct assignment of probabilities. So you go back and you either give a different set of probability distribution, and then again go through all this and compare with the experiment, or go back and try to alter your model and then again come back. So this is how the statistical mechanics is done for understanding the properties or the phenomena are. So this is in some sense a brief outline of the formulation of statistical mechanics. Okay, so now let me come to this question of okay, so essentially when I say that I have used a hat symbol, so suppose if I say that I'm going to define, I can define an operator in any way, h operating on some function f. Okay, so I'm doing some operation on it. What is the operation here? Operation is simply, this is defined in this fashion. Okay, I'm not putting a hat here, remember. This is a function, this is a function, this is the Poisson bracket of two functions. This is just a notation. Okay, I could have also said, I may also define like this. Suppose I have some h operating on f, let's say square root of f. This is square root operation. Okay, so whenever h is operating on some function, it will square root of it. This is just a representation, a convenient representation. It is not necessary that your operation can be anything. Wherever you are doing an operation, you can define it as an operator. So there is nothing classical or quantum mechanics with respect to operator. Operator is a mathematical concept. It so happens that we use it in quantum mechanics more often than in other areas, but there is no restriction that we should use this language of operators or operations only in quantum mechanics. Okay, so when I say what is an operation, I can always call it an operator. So there is no problem in using that language. Any other questions?
Sir, e to the power Ti is a time evolution operator. That part I didn't understand.
E to the power
Th hat. Time evolution operator. That part, how did it come? Since in quantum mechanics, we know that e to the power minus IH T by H cross is a time evolution operator. But here in classical mechanics, how did it come?
Okay. So if you remember that last class, we had this equation, right? Suppose if I have B as a function of Q bar and P bar, okay, then we said dB by dt can be written as the Poisson bracket of B with H, correct? So we had written this equation. How did we write this equation? This is basically, we can write this as sum over I is equal to 1 to 3n, partial derivative of B with respect to Q dot plus partial derivative of B with respect to Pi into Pi dot. Now substitute Pi dot and Pi dot from the Hamilton's equations, you will get this. Now I am going to call this one as H operating on B. This is just a representation. Okay. Now I have an equation which is dB by dt is equal to H. Now just like we solved Schrodinger equation formally, you can also solve this equation formally. Okay, formally solving, that means I am going to write dB by d is equal to H into dt.
So I can't see the presentation, sir. It's stuck. Okay, now I can see.
Can see?
Yes, sir, I can see.
So I'm just like in Schrodinger equation, I can now write this as b of t is equal to e to the power t times h acting on b of t. This is formal. Now you ask, okay, what does this mean? Or how do I evaluate this this particular operator? The evaluation is similar to what we have in. So this is nothing but I can write this as 1 plus T H plus T square H square by factorial 2 and so on, operating on B at 0. So that is nothing but E at 0 plus T times the Poisson bracket of B with H plus T square by 2 times Poisson bracket of B with Poisson bracket of B with H. Okay, so and so on. So we can evaluate this one using Poisson brackets in this fashion. Okay, once you agree to represent this as an operator, then all that we did in quantum mechanics is also, we can borrow that. The only thing is how you evaluate that one depends on what is the operation. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So any other questions?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
This is Arshad.
Yeah.
Sir, we have to solve the Ewald equation. And then we have to subject the density function to the normalization condition.
See, when you are defining the initial density itself, it is normalized. correct? When you
Oh,
say
okay.
I am going to define a probability distribution function, it has to be normalized. You cannot take any arbitrary function and then give it as an initial state for the Lively equation. When you are giving as an input to Lively equation, the initial state itself has to be normalized. And that will be preserved.
And excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Is it possible that the solutions to L equation will form any space like the Hilbert space in quantum mechanics?
See, this is not related to forming a Hilbert space, but the solutions to Lively equation are all probability distribution functions. Correct?
Okay.
So they are not even general dynamical functions. They are subset of general dynamical functions, but there is of course some structure in this. For example, if you consider set of all dynamical functions, okay, set of all dynamical functions, then with this Poisson bracket defined over them, you can call this entire set as a Lie algebra. Okay, so there is a concept called Lie algebra. Okay, so the set of all dynamical functions has a nice structure, and that is called a Lie algebra structure. Now, set of all probability distribution functions is going to be only a subset of those functions where that normalization condition is satisfied.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Sir, I have a question for thermodynamics. Sir.
Yeah.
So, what is principle of detailed balance? Sir? I don't know that. Principle of detailed balance.
Principle of detailed balance. Okay, but it is maybe I will write the answer. Okay, in that, because it is not completely not related to this at all.
Okay.
That is, you have these microstates, and these microstates will be changing continuously. The system will go from one microstate to other microstate, correct? So
Yes,
suppose you take any two microstates, and then you can say that there is some probability for the system to be in this microstate, and some probability for the system to go from this microstate to that microstate. Now there is a detailed balance that the probability multiplied by the transition probability is same from microstate 1 to microstate 2, microstate 2 to microstate 1. That is called detailed balance. But there is also something called principle of balance, which is not detailed balance. Okay, so that is so these things are important when we consider non-equilibrium phenomena. But I wanted to also tell you that the statistical mechanics formulation that I have discussed today is a general formulation. I have nowhere considered the system is in equilibrium. So even if you have a non-equilibrium situation, if you are able to define your ensemble and the probability distribution function, this formalism will go through. So there is this is a general formalism. We will in the next class specialize to equilibrium, where we have much simpler situation. So when you have an equilibrium, you can talk about ensembles, and the probability distribution can be is independent of time, and it can be defined once and for all. And ensemble averages and etc. can be, because most of the thermodynamic measurements are equilibrium measurements. It is the equilibrium statistical mechanics that is more applications can be done, and it is equilibrium statistical mechanics that we are going to learn throughout this course. But this formulation is quite general. It is also applicable to systems that are not in equilibrium. So do you think that this formulation is easy or difficult?
Sir, I found it to be difficult. The last line, B of t is equals to B0 plus t percent bracket of B of h, that part, is it Baker-Hausdorff equality in quantum mechanics we use? Hello?
Yeah, so it is with respect to this time dependence of E.
Yes, sir, but is this related to Baker-Hausdorff equality? This B of t is supposed to be B of 0 plus t.
No, not related to that. See,
Last time.
BCH identity is with respect to commutators. Okay, but this is there are no two functions here. It is just one operator operating on this function.
The structure is similar, sir.
That is true, but BCH identity is also having this commutators of commutators of commutators.
Nested commutators.
Nested commutators. So to that extent, structure is similar, but this is different from that identity.
Okay, sir.
Sir, can you go back to the beginning of the small b portion?
Beginning of what?
Small b, where you started using the small b quantity.
Here. I think this is where I used to small b.
So can you explain from here again?
So this is so as I said here that we have let's say that you have some room where you are going to measure this property called B at a location R and time t, and corresponding to this property capital B, there is a dynamical function associated with that. That is what I am calling as. For example, let's say that you are interested in measuring the pressure at some point in the room. So the pressure is basically, you think of an imaginary surface and then you think of how much momentum is transferred by each molecule. That's the microscopic counterpart, right? The pressure is a consequence of momentum transfer of these particles. So this small b is associated with some function which represents this momentum kicks to that imaginary surface. And now I already, when we discussed classical mechanics, we said that this B dot is written in this fashion, which I am now representing it as simply H operating on B. So that I can write down the time dependence of B in terms of this operator. So now I am saying that, okay, I know what is B at time T at that position R, and then I simply use this ensemble. Ensemble is just a probability distribution function. Now I want to transfer this time. See, what happens is for every property, I should do this time evolution, and corresponding time evolved quantity I have to put here. But I want to transfer this time evolution to the state. So I used this structure called canonical transformation in classical Hamiltonian mechanics. And then I showed that you can actually transfer the time dependence from the operator, from the dynamical function to the probability distribution function. And so that what is our standard thing in physics? You give a state and state evolves in time. And that evolution equation is, for example, in classical mechanics, it is Hamilton's equation. In quantum mechanics, it is Schrodinger equation. So similarly, if you give me a state and the state evolution is given by Liouville equation. Evolution equation is given by Liouville equation. so that if you are given an initial state, you can solve Lively equation to get a state at any time. And then we use this state in carrying out the ensemble average. So the entire business of statistical mechanics I have written here, that you do consider a phenomena, model it, then describe the initial probability distribution, assign the initial probability distribution, or guess the initial probability distribution, then supply it to Lively equation as an initial distribution, then you will get a distribution at any time t, use that in an ensemble averaging, calculate the macroscopic quantity, compare it with the experiments, and then go on back and forth if you have to make modifications at different stages. So that is, so essentially, if you have understood what we discussed today, the business, the conceptual part of statistical mechanics is done. And is in between some arrow here, we will be doing some details. Okay, that's all. The framework is only this. Whatever problem you do, you may consider a different Hamiltonian, then you may solve, you may not solve, you may directly write down the ensemble averaging, and then you derive these macroscopic quantities, compare with the experiments, go back and forth. So we will be only worrying about everything in the whole semester about doing some confining ourselves to some arrow in this framework. So I wanted to present it so that you get an overall picture, and then you will be much better in terms of appreciating what is going on in the field.
So why we are only considering the autonomous systems here?
Autonomous systems?
Yes, sir, because B doesn't explicitly depend on T. B, the total derivative of B is equals to the constant bracket of B and H.
Correct.
So the explicit dependence is not there. So
yeah,
that is
so explicit dependence is not there, but what I'm trying to say is that if I have some property which that is, so basically I am respecting this dynamical function structure for the property. Every property will have a dynamical function structure. Okay, that means it doesn't have an explicit time dependence. Okay, so if there is an explicit time dependence, then of course we have to deal with that separately. But here the dynamical function description for the property, that every property can be written as a function of Q and P only, Q bar and P bar only.
Okay. If we consider explicit time dependence, then we have to consider extended phase space.
Correct. Correct.
That is different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, we don't need to worry because we are anyways going to specialize soon to equilibrium situations where properties as such don't depend on time at all. All macroscopic properties will be independent of time, including the probability distribution. So it's not too much of a problem if we don't consider that extended space.
Sir?
Yeah.
So basically you were saying, suppose as in quantum mechanics, suppose we have the operator A and there is a corresponding quantity, suppose I say momentum. If we want to figure out the average momentum of the system, we take expectation value of that A operator. In that case, we just have to do like integration psi star A psi d tau. Here also, this is a similar treatment. If we want to find the average of something, some quantity, then we are just sandwiching that small b quantity within that integral, and then we are carrying out some treatment, similar treatment, like some mathematics, to figure out that B quantity, capital B quantity.
Yes. That is correct. But what I'm trying to say is that this is, see, ensemble averaging. Ensemble means a given probability distribution. What we are doing is an averaging. Okay, this is basically what we do in statistics, right? And that is why this is called statistical mechanics, because we have some ignorance about the details. We deal with statistics. Okay, it is like doing mechanics with finite amount of ignorance with the aid of statistics. Okay, so this is why this subject is named statistical mechanics. And so ensemble averaging is somewhat like, I can say somewhat like the expectation value in quantum mechanics. But there are certain differences. So I am planning in the next class, I will try to discuss the formulation once again, but this time I will try to use quantum mechanics from the beginning, and then we will proceed formulating what is called quantum statistical mechanics. Okay, so we, like what we did in classical mechanics, we will do with quantum mechanics, and then we will talk about what is the ensemble structure in quantum systems and how quantum statistical mechanics can be formulated. So there you will understand what is the difference and what is the similarity. Then it is easy to appreciate. At the level of statistical mechanics, there is some kind of a unification between the formalism of classical mechanics and quantum mechanics. At least the mathematical structure is same, and hence it is it's easy to appreciate that. So in the next class, most likely I will do that, and after that